Thank you, Pastor.
You're welcome.
Call the meeting to order. Amy, do we have a quorum?
Yes, we have 96.
96. So a quorum is 70-something, but it exceeds that. So we can conduct official business. So the first order of business is approval of the minutes from the August 29th meeting, as well as the November 14th special meeting. For those of you that don't have those minutes committed to memory, we do have hard copies in the back. So I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes. Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. They're approved. Amy Roller is our secretary, and she does a great job. Thank you, Amy, for putting those together. Also want to introduce the other board members that we have, other than myself, who is chairman, and Amy, who is secretary. We have Rick Pyle, who is vice president. We have Cindy Campion. Is Cindy here? Allison Kieschnick.
Out of town.
Both out of town. Spring break starts, I think, this week. Larry Wiesner. I know Larry's here somewhere. Larry's here. Matt Stone. Matt's in the back. Those are the 7 board members. We're going to be talking about the building committee in a little bit, and I'll just get those introductions done as well right now. Nathan Franzmeyer is chairman of the building committee. Also on that committee are Bob Christensen, Ron Kindler, George Hill, and Randy Kieschnick. Now, of the building committee, I'm the only one here today. Now, I'm not exactly sure what that says. I'm the Lone Ranger, but we'll go with it. But it's good. It's positive news. It's a good thing. Also, part of the building committee is that we have what we call a Decor Committee. And the Decor Committee, 2 ladies, done an excellent job, Shelley Mead and Ann Whitty. If you leave the decor to 5 guys that are on the building committee, it would look like 5 guys did it. So Shelley and Ann have been very instrumental in trying to bring the look together. Remember, we've got old building, a real old building, some new buildings, and all the different styles over the years, and try to bring it together so it looks like one facility. And I think they did an excellent job considering what they had to work with. So my hat's off to Shelley and Ann. I also want to thank Peter and Brandy. They're the producers of today's meeting, putting the slideshow together and that type of thing. So I want to thank them as well. So first of all, a little bit on the finances is that, and Matt Stone, who's a board member, he's on the Financial Advisory Committee. He's the board representative on that. Does an excellent job. Thank you, Matt, for doing that. Anyway, getting the numbers, hopefully these are right. They've been audited by Matt. Thank you. As of year end, 12/31/21, our year-to-date offerings is 18% above last year. That excludes large single gifts. So the Lord has blessed us tremendously. Also, our current mortgage has been paid down by more than $200,000 since construction started. And right as of year end, our current mortgage is like $1,024,000. And by the time we get the building done, it'd probably be, well, obviously be less than that, but be around $1 million or thereabouts. So the Lord has blessed us. Now we have we have cash, and now we don't want to hoard cash because God would not be very proud of us if He came back tomorrow and said, "Oh, our Savior, good job, you've got this $1 million in the ground." Yeah, He wouldn't be very proud of us. However, we have to be good stewards as well. So we have dedicated funds of $500,000, of which that includes money for evangelism. I think there's about 100,000 or thereabouts in evangelism. We have columbarium. There's like 100,000 to finish the columbarium. So it's those type of dedicated funds we have. In addition to that, we have unrestricted funds of 540,000. Now, for German Lutherans are very conservative. So we have what we call an operating reserve. We must keep a minimum of $300,000 to the rainy day fund, that type of thing, if you will. But we have additional, beyond that, of $240,000. So I want to talk about that. Not that we want to just spend money to be spending money, but we have an opportunity to use these funds to expand the ministry. So Pastor will be going in more on that. Any questions on the finances? Very good. Now on to construction. As you know, this has been a challenge. We've been doing this project for since late last year. And it's been, and we want to thank the congregation for being so patient during this process. You've been moved around, moved from in the sanctuary, out of the sanctuary, what door do we come in, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We appreciate that. But there is a light at the tunnel, at the end of the tunnel. So today I want to give an overall update. I don't want to plow a lot of old ground, but just give you a quick update also about the sanctuary flooring. Give you an update as well. And then the last phase of this will be our landscape outside, so we're going to beautify that. So just brief review, why did we do this? We wanted to create room to grow for ministries currently at our capacity. We were out of room. We wanted to improve the functionality of the campus because it was a little bit like a hospital. If you were a visitor and you came here with the old building and someone asked, okay, where's the fellowship hall? You said, well, you take this left and you take a right and another left, and they were confused. So we tried to improve that as well as improve the general appearance of the church campus. So what do we do? These are existing facility improvements. Is that we expanded the atrium narthex, which we're sitting in right now. We now have a porte-cochere where you can drop off. We expanded the playground, which is done now. Those are all complete, as well as we converted the old preschool room into adult Bible study, which is right over here. So before, when you walked from here to the old fellowship hall, you walk down this hallway. That hallway is gone. It's now an adult Bible study. And so an adult Bible study is just slightly larger than the fellowship hall. So it's a great room for adults to meet. We opened up the corridors. There's now a corridor between the adult Bible study, our coffee area, and the fellowship hall, which that is, we now have a TCO sorry about the acronym. It's temporary certificate of occupancy. We can start using that now, which was a great thing. Coming this summer, we're going to update the fellowship hall, which means, what's that mean? We're going to paint it and carpet it. Looks pretty. It's been a staging area for construction for the last year, so it looks pretty rough. And then we're going to do landscaping upgrades coming this spring. New facilities. As you probably all noticed, we have a new education area on the corner right over here. The top floor is for the preschool. The bottom floor is for children's ministry, Sunday school. We have a new indoor playground area. That is completed. We have new preschool classrooms. We have this cross tower that was added, and I know if you drive by here at night, you can actually see that cross. I was over at Hardin and Virginia. You can see the cross tower from there, as well as if you go on the east side, you can see it from 75. So great thing. Those are all complete. We have a new parking lot just north of the preschool, which we're going to be able to use. Hopefully, it's coming soon. It's still construction area and don't get all that stuff, but we can't use it quite yet. We're going to do signage so that when visitors come here, although we're glad to help visitors, but they'll be able to get around the building hopefully easier. And then we have new landscaping coming. Any questions on existing facilities, new facilities, where we stand? Okay, this is just a quick review. This is what the church looked like a year and a half ago.
A good day.
Wasn't bad. This is what it looks like today. It's almost complete, other than landscaping, this type of thing. As you can tell, we have the new look on the cross on the sanctuary, as well as the new educational facility. We got the porte-cochere and cross tower. That's the new adult Bible study, which used to be at an old schoolrooms. That's where we're storing the pews while the sanctuary floor has been done. The pews will come out of there when we get done. But anyway, that's what it looks like. Nice area. There's our new parking lot to the north, which one day hopefully we'll be able to use here later this spring. So, when's this all going to be done? is that, mid-March, it's coffee area. So in other words, today we can go from the atrium over to the preschool through that hallway now. We can now do that. The city of McKinney's allowed us to do it. The sanctuary floor will be done by Palm Sunday. So we will have Palm Sunday in the sanctuary. Mid-April, we'll be able to use the new adult Bible study because the pews will be out of there. Then by the end of May, hopefully the landscaping is complete, with the new signage up, et cetera, get the parking lot, and then this will all be done by mid-June. That is the plan. So how do we all end up? Is that, if you remember, back in September of 20, the voters approved that our debt, including existing loan, would not exceed $5,819,176. That was what the voters approved. We will not exceed $5,800,000 where the project's going now. We're going to be slightly less than that, which is a good thing. The current mortgage as of year end was $1,024,000. We had, so our new construction, it's going to be about a little over $7 million. Is how much all this for the existing facilities, renovation, and the new facilities, this is how much it's going to cost, about $7 million. And on the Great 28 Capital Fund campaign, we raised $2.4 million. The pledge goal was $2.3 million. So thank you to all the congregational members on that. We've been very well blessed on that. Like I said, we appreciate your patience. It's taken longer. We've had, Satan has thrown a lot of things in front of us, the pandemic, the freeze-demic, supply chain issues, you name it. We encountered it, but we prevailed. So anyway, I want to thank everyone on this project, including our general contractor, Lee Lewis, architect, et cetera, so we can get this done by this summer. Any questions on the building? Yes.
I've heard rumblings about a leaky roof. Is that true, and are we doing anything about it?
The roof that leak that you're probably referring to is over in the admin area, which is an existing facility. We weren't. That's not part of the building project. However, does that mean we're going to ignore it? No. What we want to do is, yes, we have leaky roofs and we still have some maintenance issues to take care of. Is that we want to get Lee Lewis out of here. Get that construction done so they're not stumbling over each other. Once that happens, then there's some maintenance type items, and we have the money to do it. Maintenance type items we want to do. Fix the roof over, is it Pastor your office or Pastor Thompson's office?
Mine.
Pastor Radke's office?
No rush. Run a high-powered gas line.
What? Was it Christmas Eve that you and Pastor Bray were on top of the roof?
Yeah.
That was impressive.
In between services.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you for doing that, by the way. But anyway, we want to fix that. The restrooms down this admin hall, mostly the women's restroom. I've never been in the women's restroom, but it's my understanding that there's some plumbing issues in there. We want to fix that, and so there are some other maintenance items we want to do. Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, thank you very much for your patience during this project. The Lord has blessed us, and now we're going to see what are we going to do with all this. So the next we have the Board of Elders update. John Korb, who's the chairman of the Board of Elders, could not be here, part of spring break, so Pastor is going to do this part. Oh, excuse me, one other thing is that last April we had a voters meeting, and the voters approved for the building committee to use $141,000 of loan pay down to go toward our contingency fund. Remember that, it was $141,000. Voters approved it, and we said, okay, what we agreed to was that if we were going to use it, we're going to report to you if we're going to use it. So the answer is yes, we're going to have to use a portion of it, maybe approximately half of it or thereabouts. So we're going to have to use a portion of the $141,000. But I did want to report to you that we did have to use some of that to get this project done. So, okay. All right, Pastor.
And thank you, Vern. I think a round of applause for Vern and all his work. As all of our leaders know, this is not an easy season to lead through with all the various things that have happened, but I will say we've been blessed with great leaders, lay leaders in the congregation, great staff to weather whatever it is that the devil tried to throw at us. We were ready to go at it head on. And so we are all very appreciative as a leadership to the Lord and just how faithful and good and how much He has shed the light on the path for us to go. And so we really give all glory to God for leading us through this time. I would say it's gone much better for us than it did Israel. I had to throw it in. It's in the sermon text, right? All right. So, Board of Elders, there's been a good Lutheran word, a reformation within the Board of Elders. Probably elders that are in here, what did we do? Probably 3 months ago, four-ish, somewhere around there. We got together and we changed some inner dynamics of the Board of Elders. And while all the elders still have districts and those people that they care about and try to communicate with at least monthly in an email about upcoming things or invitations to send your prayers to your elder, those sorts of things. One thing that changed is we divided the elder team into 3 inner teams, if you will. There's a care team, a connections team, and an operations team. And so within the Board of Elders, there's a group that focuses on care, that is working on trying to just develop relationships with members and send cards to members, just in the hopes that if something comes up in that member's life, they feel more comfortable inviting us in to help walk with them through whatever that situation may be. Connections, this part of the elders is at work trying their best to connect members to other members and members to ministries. And for example, in our new members class, which is going on right now, all but maybe one of those in the connections part of our elders are in the new members class with the new members for the whole duration of the new members class, with the hope of them kind of walking them into the next thing in the congregation that they can be a part of. And so that's a really exciting piece. And so these guys always have their eyes open, looking to connect members to various members or ministries. And then operations, they help kind of, sometimes maybe even the connections or care might like a plan or help with designing a plan, and then we might enlist the operations team for that. But they also, just in the normal course of their duties, orchestrate a lot of the various things and worship services and different parts of it that go on throughout the year. They really take an operational look at it and help us engineer the best approach for whatever that thing is. And so we're really blessed by the gifts of the elders, and really most are in an area where they felt really more led to serve and more led to contribute from their unique gifts that they've received from the Lord. So that's kind of the reformation that's taken place. And so we're really happy about this. Another big part of this was elders' meetings will be an hour and an hour only. That was my favorite improvement. And so that is also, shouldn't shock you, drastically improved attendance to meetings. You know, when you know you're only going to be there an hour and then you're going to be out, it's been helpful. So much thanks to the elders as we've continued to try to adapt and do what we can when our environment changes and when the ministry grows and different things happen. We realize we can't get stuck in any one way because we might realize that the current model that we have isn't adequate to meet the ministry needs of the congregation as it is. And so we'll always have an eye open for changes that might need to take place to better serve members and those outside of our congregation. So here's some ministry updates. Deeper Waters, this is our discipleship initiative. We just did a new push on this and revised some things where you could take an online assessment. That assessment would come back to the staff. The staff would work through your assessment and try to personalize the discipleship plan for you. And of our membership, 26% of our membership participated in this most recent effort of the Deeper Waters which as a staff, we consider to be a great success, great success in terms of those participating. Because we've learned at Deeper Waters, some people participate in this, but they kind of maybe do it a little bit more privately and not necessarily turn things into us or share those things with us. But our whole goal in this is just to help you move deeper in all areas, or we define 4 kind of chief areas of discipleship, which is being in the Word, being in prayer, service, and what was the 4th one, guys? Word, prayer, service. Huh? Telling others, yes, telling others about Jesus. And so, depending on how your survey came back, then you got specific feedback on ways that you could take another step or walk a little deeper in that area. In some cases, we placed resources in your hand for you to use, whether those are links to other things or books, prayer books, or whatever it might be. So that's been really exciting. Children and youth ministry, I'll tell you this, both Robin and Olivia are super excited, first of all, to have space. 2, it's their space. 3, it's not shared space. Okay? And so that's been really exciting for them, and we've seen the fruits of that. As Vern mentioned earlier, in the old kind of setup of the facility here, you know, if you wanted to share with a new family, hey, where's the children's ministry at? Well, go down this corridor here, take a right, then you're going to go through some double doors, make a left, and then you're going to go up the stairs, and then when you get to the top of the stairs, take a left, and there should be somebody there. Got it? Good, thanks. You know, and now you can meet somebody where you most likely would here in the atrium and say, hey, I'm new here, I've got children, where do I go? Real simple. Well, first, let me say this. As a member, if you get asked that question, walk them there. Okay, don't point it out. Walk them there. But we've made your walk easier, right? So you just get to go down this hallway, take a right, and bam, you're in the children's ministry area, right? And before you get to that corridor, you'll see one youth room for the older youth, that is above 5th grade, so 6th and 7th graders, and 8th graders all the way through high school. You'll see a high school room on the left, a junior high room on the right, and then you go into the children's ministry area. And that is where, as Vern mentioned, there's a playground area, a place for parents to sit, watch the kids. There's also a nice, more comfortable seating area that's not immediately on the playground, so you'll see kind of there's a border about this high that goes around the whole playground, and you can sit on that. But then there's also a whole other seating area over here with chairs and couches and tables and those things that would encourage fellowship among members. And so it's a great space. That's where we've moved most of our recent staff meetings to, because there's nice, comfy chairs, and you get up and there's not dust all over your butt. So,
And you get to play.
yeah, and you get to play, right? You get to go down the slide. Digital ministry. So you saw this. Boy, this began in full force when Pastor Bray came on staff full time, and we've really worked hard on our digital imprint and sharing opportunities for your faith to grow through podcasts and through the You Ask, We Answer, which is probably the most popular podcast that we've been doing, which is questions submitted by you or even those outside of our congregation, and then we come together and try to give a measured biblical response to whatever that question is as we understand it. And this has been a great joy to see. I've had comments from people outside of our church like, this is so great. Boy, I wish our church would do something like this. And I just say, hey, we're receiving members. No, I'm kidding. I don't do that. They just find great value in it. So we know those of you that are into sort of podcasts or YouTube things know that you have a plethora of resources, but sometimes it's neat to have something that's just coming out of your own faith community and those sorts of things. And so it feels a little maybe more personal. You recognize and know who the voices are on the podcast, and you get to talk to them. So big kudos to Pastor Bray for coming and really running right out of the gate when he got here with this ministry. And Christian education. So we have, as Vern mentioned, some new space. We have the old fellowship hall, which is going to get a makeover. And we have this new adult Bible study room right behind this wall. We'll have one open where the old music ministry room is. There will be 2 offices there and then a general gathering area. We'll have the library and we'll have the conference room. And so our hope is that once we have access to all of this, that we will be able to expand the offerings for Sunday morning adults. So you might have 4 or 5 different classes that you could choose from to be a part of on a Sunday morning Bible study. And so that was one of the great benefits and one of the great limitations that we faced with the old space is, yeah, there's ideas and there's other things we'd like to do on a Sunday morning for adults, but we just don't have the space. Not just that, but actually the new coffee seating area, who knows, that might even be a space for a Great 28 group to meet, or those of you who skip Bible study and talk the whole time, that might be a place for you to meet. You can be there, and there will be coffee for you over there, and that's okay. Hey, if you're getting to know your member better, we're happy about it. So we'll only glare at you occasionally. All right, Uganda, some of you may or may not know, OSL has played a significant part in shaping the Lutheran landscape of not only Uganda, but of East Africa by constructing a seminary there in Uganda outside of Jinja. Our congregation raised the funds and sent the funds in order to construct the seminary there. And it has been a incredible thing to see them go from, say, 168 congregations and only 5 pastors to now, through the 4-year seminary process, to almost, when the first class graduated, to more than double the amount of existing pastors that they have. So if you're lucky there, when you come out of the seminary, you get maybe 10 congregations that you have to serve, right? And so you can imagine how tough that is. And we appreciate the great sacrifice of those seminarians there because, to be honest with you, they're giving up working while they're in seminary, although they do work. There's some of the land at the seminary is kept in agriculture, so they do have to do some farming there. But they're going through this whole process at great sacrifice to go and be a pastor with no guarantee of a salary at all. So Bob Christensen and I, when we've gone, we've realized with the landscape changing so rapidly in the United States, the spiritual landscape, there may come the day when seminarians and pastors from Uganda are coming here to witness to Christ. Right? And so we've been super blessed there. I did get an email from the bishop there that they're interested in, he asked permission to send me a proposal for building the last piece, which is the second story of the dormitory. I haven't responded yet, but that'll be something I want to discuss with our board of directors and stuff first, just to look at that, evaluate it. We've been working really hard also to increase partnerships in Uganda. There's probably about, maybe 12 to 14 LCMS Lutheran Church partners, and some of them could do schools, some of them might just build church buildings, some of them might do clean water, and so we try to not step on each other and get into that stuff. But we're also working, all of us partners are making a gift to the Lutheran Church of Uganda, which would be the equivalent of us giving a gift to the LCMS, because they have a great leadership, but there's no money coming to the leadership. So you can imagine how hard it must be to move a vision and work a vision in any organization, especially as large as that, but not have any funding, right? And so they also are working with local congregations, teaching about tithing and funding and that sort of stuff. And so the church there is going really good. They have many new converts. They have services where there might be 200 baptisms. They're in rich Muslim areas. I don't mean financially rich, but full Muslim areas and villages, and they've done tremendous through their school ministries, reaching Muslims and bringing Muslims to Christ and into the church. So, and most of the Muslims I've seen there aren't probably the kind that you see on Fox News. They're really peaceful and generally good, and generally were just born into that family and grew up, and then they might not even go to a mosque or anything, but they're Muslim, right? And so, but Lutherans, as you know, as German Lutherans, have always excelled in education and schooling. And so we've also seen that bear fruit in other international places where education is a way to reach the children, and through the children you often have success reaching the family. And Florine could probably give us volumes of lessons about the importance of that. Music ministry growth, we've had a lot of new folks come forward to either be in the choir, be in the praise team, bell choir, all these different things that are going on. So we appreciate all of those who have stepped up and are using your gifts in such a way to bless us in the music ministry area. This has not made it real easy on the music ministry being here in the atrium, but I appreciate all of our music ministers, if you will, and their willingness to be adaptable, flexible, and to do the best that they possibly can so that we can have the best possible worship experience that we can while we're in here. I've always wondered that with now the live stream. It's like, do we need to tell people at the beginning, like, this is temporary, people? There is a sanctuary in there, but this is actually, we believed as a staff, this, even being in here, was going to be a blessing to us because we are closer to one another. We talk more now to one another. You see some people, you can't maybe sit in your same spot, all those sorts of things, which is really confusing to pastors when they're used to seeing a family in one spot and now you're like over there. It's like, where am I? Those sorts of things. And so we know as the Lord has done with COVID, as he's done with construction, as he's done with this, he continues to do good things in our midst wherever we are. And so we believe that fully. Prayer chain resurgence. Joanne McGon, I just looked at you a minute ago. Where are you? Yeah, right here. One of the things we've done more recently in the last few months is kept this announcement in the Impact every single week. And we have seen a tremendous resurgence of people taking advantage of emailing Joanne for the church-wide prayer requests. And so if you don't have an Impact and you want to be on it, either to get emails that you could be praying for these people or to submit a prayer request, please grab an Impact and get Joanne's email from there. And so, Joanne, thank you for such a wonderful, wonderful job. You get these prayers at all sorts of hours of the day, and you put them together and keep them together. And so, big round of applause for Joanne.
Yeah,
thank you so much for that. And this prayer is not only essential for the congregation, but it's also what I believe to be so instrumental in us getting to know what one another is going through. Not as a gossip chain, but as a spiritual concern chain. People I can serve, people I can pray for, people I know have things going on in their life, and this is just a good way to kind of see some of those things. And maybe as you see, think, hey, I can be a person who can walk with them through whatever that thing might be. All right, Uganda Seminary and trips. And so we are hoping to plan, I'm guessing in maybe, I'd have to look at the dates, somewhere between, I'll just throw out July and October. That's a big window, I know, but somewhere in that range, we're going to plan another trip. And we invite members to join us on this trip. And the next one will have a teaching element to it as we will go to some regions to teach the catechism. And what we learned while teaching at the seminary was that those who had gone through our catechism classes were much more ready and prepared to attend seminary and excel at seminary. And so my hope is that we can put together a teaching team that would go with us. I often try to coordinate our trip with Women of the Pearl, and so that doesn't mean women can't be part of the teaching team, but sometimes they do different things, and that gives people an option as to, hey, this day I'm going to go with the ladies and help with the things that they're doing as they meet with ladies and leaders of the congregations, or I'm going to go on the teaching side, whatever that might be. And so if you want, pray about that, think about it, and see if you have an interest in going. The general cost, I think, even including all the shots, meals, rooms, and flight, is usually between $2,500 and close to $3,000. And so we make a stop in at the Kremlin, and then we go. No, I'm kidding. All right. Oh, I guess I covered that a little bit, so I'm just getting back to the trips. But the Prosper satellite. I skipped over that. So we have our eyes on it, just on the very, very early stages of looking at what it might look like to plant a satellite congregation in Prosper, okay? And more likely than not, at least the style of that plant would be traditional Lutheran worship. And some might wonder, well, hey, that doesn't, most church plants look very contemporary. And I look at the landscape of Prosper, and there are many, many, many contemporary church plants in Prosper, not so many that have a traditional style to it. And so our thought is looking at that. We have, as Vern said, we already have almost $100,000 seed money for that effort. But the goal was to get through this project before we start exploring and looking at what it might look like to plant a satellite congregation in Prosper. We have members who live in Prosper. They haven't agreed to necessarily be part of any plant, but they might. And so we're going to begin that planning process pretty soon, but probably not until all of this is done. Okay. I also spoke with a Wisconsin Synod person. I was thinking, I don't think they weren't a pastor, they were a member of a church, but the Wisconsin Synod has this great foundation that will donate money lots of money to start a school. And so they're looking to plant a Lutheran school in Prosper. My thought was, hey, let them do that and we'll start the church. They didn't agree to that just yet, but that's my thinking. And so we'll be happy to take the members from your school. So once I get the guy to tell me where they're going, that'll put us in the right direction. I'm kidding a little bit. A little bit, not completely. All right, so some things to communicate as it relates to the staff here at OSL. And here's some things that you need to know. Randy Kieschnick is retiring in May 2020, so just around the corner. He will be retiring, and we could not be more thankful for the work and the labor that he's put in, and he's been super frugal, and most of the staff knows when we have an idea, we ask Randy, is it possible, and he'll tell us the truth. And if the truth is something we're not real excited about, he'll go back to work to see if he can make some part of that idea happen, right? And so he's super resourceful. He plants before he planted all the plants before Easter morning. He did all that kind of stuff. I mean, you'll see him sweeping or mopping, and we'll definitely miss Randy. I've promised to give him, for the first year of his retirement, 1 bottle of Woodford Reserve each month as a thank you for that. But while we're sad about Randy's departure, we are very excited about onboarding Lee Wolf. Lee Wolf is in the back here. He's retired from Texas Instruments after 20 years of working there and has the skills that we need and has the ability to not only oversee the finances of the congregation and of the preschool, but he also has a master's in business administration that can also help, as Randy was helping with the school finances and kind of projections and planning and those sorts of things operationally on the preschool. He's able to kind of oversee some of the campus needs and things that Randy did in terms of calling vendors. And so we couldn't be more excited for Lee Wolf coming to our congregation, listening to the Lord when the Lord said, hey, come work at OSL and make a lot less money than you used to make at TI. And so thank you, Lee, for your sacrificial and love for the congregation, and we're excited to have you on board. Sonia, she's been in the front office for, well, I guess a long time. She was there when I got here, so I don't know when she actually started. But right now, she's just trying to spend as much time as she possibly can with Bill, her husband, who's not in the best of health. And so what we've been doing, we've been blessed by Kelly LaBelle. I don't know if Kelly's in here right now or not, but she's kind of been a placeholder for Sonia while Sonia spends time with Bill, and she's been a great asset to kind of be the front office person, and she's kind of learning the ropes and going through all that. And luckily, she's got a great person in Brandy to help coordinate, to give her the ropes and explain kind of what's going on, how we plan things and whatnot. And so that's been really, really neat to see. And so we're just grateful for that. Okay, pastoral staff. So we have 3 pastors now. I think it's maybe the first time in OSL's history as a congregation that they've had more than 2 pastors. But I want to start, before I give you kind of an introduction, to speak to maybe a framework or a frame of mind that you might have, okay? I hope you don't see this as, this is 3 people now to do 1 job, okay? This is 3 people to do 3 different jobs, but a couple things that overlap, okay? When Pastor Thompson had COVID, we could feel it because he brings a tremendous value and he's a tremendous asset to the congregation in the areas that he works in. So when one of the 3 of us isn't there, we immediately feel the impact on the pastoral staff. So I want to convey that because sometimes people have that approach as, well, I got 3 pastors, I don't know why, you know, that kind of stuff. If that's your mentality, please talk to Rick and get a Stephen minister. So we're going to give you a little more detail. Pastoral positions. There's a senior pastor, and we have 2 associate pastor positions. Okay. As it relates to me, general pastoral responsibilities, you know, that could be a funeral, could be counseling, could be, what else? Hospital visits, home visits, shut-ins, all these sorts of things, just general things that pastors do when you're a Lutheran pastor. General Christian education, so all 3 of us will teach at different times, have classes maybe at the same time, be part of developing education and curriculum for adults and various things like that, and being an asset to people who are lay leaders that teach adults and lead and facilitate groups. And so all of us, all 3 of us, will have these top 2 responsibilities: general pastor responsibilities, general Christian education responsibilities. Okay, confirmation, we throw that even in there. So those are some of those duties that we all are part of. And so as a member, what does that mean? Well, it could mean that you're in the hospital and you want Pastor Bray to come see you, but guess what? He's got this going on, so you're stuck with Radke or Thompson, right? Or you were hoping that Thompson would be there, but you get me, right? Or whatever the thing might be. So in the general responsibilities, and as we respond to congregational needs, much of that will be dependent upon where it is that one of the 3 of us are. So we've developed an Excel spreadsheet that has all those that we're aware of that need care. We know when we've made the last contact with them, and we try to keep that up to date. It's a shared document. And so most of the people got on that list because they first went to Joanne and we heard the prayer request. So just to kind of give you that insight, sometimes we find out about it first through the prayer chain, right? And then we respond to that. Now, on occasion, somebody calls the office like, hey, going in for surgery, would like the pastor to come bring communion and prayer before the surgery, and we'll do that. But that's very often how you get on our care list, if you will, okay? Staff board leadership for me, so I'm often the liaison between staff and the board of directors. I provide leadership just for the church staff and development of church staff with the help of Pastors Thompson and Bray, and board of directors and board of elders and that sort of thing. And so that's great. I think Pastor Thompson was a little nervous when he got ordained. He's like, you're going to make me go to board of directors meetings, aren't you? I was like, no, I won't do that yet. No, I'm kidding. He has it. So worship service leader, this is kind of what's stated in the call documents, right, is overseeing worship, making sure it's happening, making sure the sacrament's administered, making sure that baptism is open to people who request baptism, making sure the teaching is proper and in line with our confessions and those sorts of things. And so that's the big part of the worship thing there. And then OSL missions and work in Uganda, leading that. Army chaplain, as you guys have permitted me to serve our troops and share the gospel with them through that vocation of Army chaplain. And recently the circuit visitor. Circuit visitor just is the guy who gets to coordinate the meetings for all the pastors in this circuit, Lutheran pastors in this circuit, and you're basically a liaison from the district president to the local congregation and pastors. And so sometimes in that capacity you might work with, like, say, Grace Dennison has a vacancy right now, so I'll be working with them as they prepare to call another pastor. Associate Pastor Thompson, general pastoral responsibilities, general Christian education. So like I told you, these are areas that you'll see Pastor Thompson involved in, you'll see Mark involved in, and you'll see myself involved in. Ministry engineer, I love that little phrase. Not just because I made it up, but because Pastor Thompson's super gifted in this way. So to explain a little bit more of what that means is you might have an idea to start a ministry, to do something new, and you just need some help bouncing it off of somebody who can help put some framework around it, look at it, ask you questions that you might have to think about before you launch out with this new idea. And Pastor Thompson is a guy that's really, really gifted in helping kind of deliver the framework or build the framework to deliver the ministry goods, if you will. And so he's been that blessing to me my whole time here. He's just really, really gifted in that area of asking questions that I don't think of or don't want to think about. He's really good at being a level head, a level balance, and then the skills to kind of get the plane up and off the runway. So that's what that means. Discovery Experience Group. So this will be new. This will be kind of an area which oversees evangelism and development and creating classes and opportunities for people to share the gospel of Jesus with others and how to do that. You might remember a friend of Pastor Thompson's, Neil Tomba, who is the senior pastor of Northwest Bible Church, right? He came and talked about his ride across America on the bike and just starting conversations that matter. So equipping us to be able to do things like that is going to be a big part of this umbrella here, is that evangelism piece that we are trying to develop. And then marriage enrichment. And so Pastor Thompson is certified on a number of different things, from Prepare and Enrich to other marriage enrichment opportunities and training. And so he'll be providing opportunities to enrich marriages, to do premarital counseling, to do just maybe even marital counseling. And so all of these instruments, most of them, when you get certified in them, allow you to kind of do premarital, marriage enrichment, and even use some of those tools for helping in counseling of troubled marriages and those sorts of things. And so he'll be our guru in that area. Pastor Bray, like I said, he's got the general pastoral responsibilities. He's got general Christian education responsibilities, and his one of his other three things will be preschool chaplain, and so he's laying the groundworks to try to really get into our preschool and minister to families and let families know that there's spiritual care and provision available here at OSL from the pastoral staff. Both his wife, Robin, our director of children's ministry, and Brandy have done a tremendous job of loving on the teachers and providing gifts to teachers and thinking of the teachers. Like Vern said, right, if it were left to all men on the Decor Committee, this would probably look like a college dorm room in here, right? But the girls think of all the things that sometimes we don't think about in terms of how to love relationally on the preschool side, and they do a great job and have really built a bridge for Mark now to walk on the backs of kind of what they've done and continue to do to reach preschool families. So this will probably be, Peter also was a liaison, so Peter's been critical with the families, helping them on a very functional level as it relates to security and them getting codes and all that sort of stuff. But Mark is really going to try to be a ministry of presence among the preschool. And so we're excited by that, which also means his office that I think we now have occupancy to will be in this hallway over here by the old fellowship hall, and that'll give him quicker access to preschool families and visibility to preschool families and that sort of stuff. Right now he's in the she shed that's right outside. No, I'm kidding. In digital ministry, we already talked about that. Great start. I know Pastor Thompson and I are really grateful that he's gotten advice from Peter to put that together. And David and I have the luxury really just to walk in and prep and talk and that sort of thing because of Mark's work. And then connecting membership to ministry. So as I told you about the reformation of the Board of Elders and how we have a care group, connections group, and operations group, I maybe failed to mention that I'm with the care group, Pastor Thompson's with the operational group, and Pastor Bray is with the connecting group. But Mark's got a great eye for connecting with new people, getting to know them quickly, and learning and knowing who to maybe connect them with, that they might go a little deeper into our community. And so that's his fifth piece. And so, and we kind of divided these up into 5 areas, really from a lunch I had with Matt Stone, or Matt's back here, of just some general leadership knowledge in terms of really only one leader can probably only manage at most 5 areas. And so that's this kind of structure has been helpful for us so that we manage our own mental health and balance and fitness, if you will, for ministry, because if we begin to take on more than this, all of them suffer and we suffer, and then as a result, you suffer. And so if something new comes in, say for Mark's ministry, it might mean that something else has to come off, right? And so one of the things I work really hard and try to bring awareness about with ministry staff is just burnout, self-care, these sorts of things. And you guys don't mean to, so I don't mean this to sound like it's your fault or something, but no one else knows where someone else is serving and putting in their time, right? And so only they can manage and know, I'm exhausted. I don't have time for another counseling session. I can't do another hospital visit right now. I can't do another class, whatever it is. No one really knows that except the staff person themselves. And so we try to really do what we can to keep an awareness on that. And if you've had a whole weekend full of stuff, well then work from home Monday or take Monday off, like recharge. Like you're not going to be any good if you're mentally imbalanced, right? And so same thing I talk with soldiers, right? When morale is really, really low, then the chances of immoral and unethical behavior is really, really high, right? Now, that's not my main worry with our staff, but I realize, right, when they're fried and they're burned out, the chances of them burning out, being frustrated, getting tired, maybe not wanting to do this anymore is high, right? And so there might be some people who say, suck it up, drive on, get over it, staff. I say, yeah, I've tried that, and now I'm on medicine. Okay? So, now, any questions about, sorry, I kind of went through all that and didn't ask if there are any questions. Thoughts or questions as it relates to that? Back to this, too, by the way. Some of the staff is also going to be going through this themselves. We found it to be pretty helpful, and so I've invited them to do this in their own area so that they can maybe better manage their calendar, manage their space, manage their energy, those sorts of things. And so we're encouraging them to kind of do that as well. Yes?
Going all the way back to the building. When everything is done, will there be opportunity for a guided tour so that we can know where, like I could walk through myself, but I may not know exactly what things are for and what all is there?
Yeah, we're gonna take Jerry Jones' advice. And so for $20, you'll get a tour of, no, I'm kidding. We call this the Star. Yes, you'll be able to have access to all of that. I think when we really know that everything's kind of set up and we know we have occupancy to it, we'll be more than willing and joyous to walk in. Even today, there's places you're welcome to walk into. I think the places that aren't, we only put up these barriers today. We actually have access to that stuff behind it. But our Decor Committee really wanted to have all the furniture set up and everything so that it like welcomed you when you saw it for the first time. Not like, oh, great, empty space, next, And so they want you to see it as it's supposed to be. And so, yeah, once all that's done, for sure, you can come up during the week for a tour. You can do that now. You can do it on a Sunday. Grab any of the staff people, board members, and they'll be happy to walk around and kind of show you some of the stuff. I'm There's new bathrooms too, even here, that lead into the new adult Bible study room. I just haven't verified whether they have paper towels yet or not. Or toilet paper, which you probably want to check before you go in there. Other questions? All right, so our closing is thrown back to Vern, which says open session, so I'm guessing that's also more time for questions or anything you have with what we presented.
Yes, the open session is required at each meeting for any questions or any other items that the voters may have. But before we get to that, Pastor, was yesterday a special day or anything?
Oh, yeah.
The U.S. Army sent Pastor for an expense-paid trip to New Jersey. And so welcome back. Thank you. I don't know what time you got back last night. Hopefully in time for dinner with Leanne.
Well, I flew back Friday, left Jersey 1 a.m. Friday, got back Friday morning, then had drill in Grand Prairie yesterday.
And so, well, anyway, belated happy birthday.
Thank you.
Thank you for, had safe travels and back here today. Also, I want to mention about the building committee, and we ought to, and if you see these guys, please tell them thank you. Bob Christensen and George Hill and Ron Kindler are here about every day, and they have been for the last year and plus. Keep an eye on things, being the owner or church representative during the construction process. So as you see those guys, please tell them thank you for the time that they've put into this. It's been challenging for them, but they've done a great job, I think. The other committees we have, I mentioned the Financial Advisory Committee. David Zappi is the chairman of that committee. These are committees of the board of directors. But David is the chairman. I know Rick's on it, and I don't know who else is on it. If you're also on the Financial Advisory Committee, please raise your hand. I don't know who else is on it.
Andre in the back.
Oh, that's right. So we have an elite group of members on that have financial expertise. We appreciate that. And then we just formed a new committee of the board of directors called the Landscape Committee. And this is after Leo Lewis is gone, we did minimal landscaping to get city approval, but we're going to do more. And Rick Pyle is going to head that up so that to beautify the outside for us. So thank you, Rick, for doing that. So, all right. On open session, any questions? Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit more about your children's and your young adult ministry? I think we have full-time people, or am I mistaken?
Pastor, you want to take that?
Questions about, what was?
Children's ministry and young adults.
Yeah, so, maybe I ought to introduce the rest of the staff. That'd be smart. Robin Bray is the director of the children's ministry. Olivia Jablinski is the director of youth and family. And so their split is 6th graders and up is Olivia's responsibility, and overseeing that with the help of various lay leaders. And Robin has kind of preschool age through 5th grade is her primary area of focus. And they often team up in various activities as well. So that's the staff, and they have some wonderful, wonderful volunteers to make all of that happen. And young adult ministry, I don't know that we really have anything that we qualify as young adult necessarily, unless you're talking about high school youth and that sort of thing. We have kind of really from high school to adult, and all our ministries are open and accessible to all of them. And so we have tried a couple times. We heard a couple people say, hey, it'd be great to have something like this for this group, college age or whatever. And every time Olivia and I have shown up to host that initial meeting, no one showed up but me and Olivia. And so there's some people who want it, but people not willing to show up for it, I guess. So when people show up, we'll probably have more to offer. So otherwise, Olivia doesn't want to spend an hour with me teaching to Olivia by herself.
Any other questions? Seeing none, yes, John. Well, thank you. And Ron Kindler is the chairman of that, or committee head, if you will, of that group. He did a great job.
And
He sure
Florine's husband, who did
Oh,
the
yes.
design.
Yes. Florine's husband was the architect
Yeah.
on that, yes. I don't want to leave anybody out. And anybody else who served in that group, I'm not. If you did, please raise your hand, because you did a great job. You know, give a little self-congratulation. Yeah, give him a round of applause. Yeah, that was good. Oh, Doreen's on it? Yeah, very good. Mhm. So, John, we got build-in time? Very good.
About 8 years ago, almost nobody here knew what the word columbarium meant.
And I know you pressed us to get it done because you never knew what your time frame was, so we appreciate that. But the Lord kept you around until we get this done. And hopefully longer, too, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
The status of the Boy Scouts project for the pavilion out there?
It's a go. We're going to do something. I do not know the timetable. If Allison or Randy Kieschnick were here, they could tell us that. I don't know if Rick, do you know? But I'm not putting you on the spot. I don't know, but we are going to do something here shortly, because that is Allison's son's Eagle Project, Boy Scout Eagle Project. So it will get done, I assume, in the next few months. To that there, and so that's the old. That's where the old gazebo was. Going to do a new spot there, as well as do some landscaping there and improve the look of that. So, yes, Gene.
Is the staff looking at additional music director positions as John Watson discussed?
Right now, we're not looking for a musical director to replace John Wasson. We are looking for a choir director. Ryan took that responsibility on for a little bit, realized it wasn't in his wheelhouse in terms of giftedness to lead that. And so while I was gone this week, he did say he has talked to somebody who has those skills. And so I'm going to meet with that person also. And I think they might be the new choir director. So that'll be it.
Anything else? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Second? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you very much. And Pastor, you want to close this with prayer, please?
Sure. Let's pray the Lord's Prayer together. Our Father, who art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name. Thy
thy kingdom